You keeping up with the Kardashians or?
Just the t-shirts.
All right.
Super comfortable.
Thank you. Thanks, Caleb. Thanks, Caleb, for understanding me and
I understand you.
giggling.
I have a fucking headache.
What is that?
Okay. And live starting webinar.
Cool. Open the floodgates. Open the gates. Gates are open.
Welcome everyone.
Where's my chat?
Chat settings
There we go. Chat settings. Yeah.
changed.
Got a do you have a recording going
Yeah, I should do that.
on your end? Yeah. Sweet. We bringing Dane in today, or is he working on some other stuff?
He's working on some YouTube content for all of y'all.
Nice. So
Dean's locked in the dungeon.
cool. Yeah. What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's happening?
Also, gals, welcome. Welcome back.
I
Missed
use
you
the
too.
unisex- I use the unisex version of guys.
Oh, guys.
So
That's so 1999.
still PC. What's up?
Where's Devon at? Devon is busy mentoring students in our education platform.
That's right. Busy helping this world be a better place by helping you guys put out some sick music. So that's what it's all about. Just producing some sick tracks, putting more sick music out into the world.
Jake rocking the Mando t-shirt today.
I haven't seen the new season yet, so no spoilers, please.
Thanks, Nick. Everyone dies, Jake.
Shut up.
Everyone dies. I haven't seen it either.
Oh, I appreciate you so much. Well said. Everyone died. Don't worry, everyone dies. Fine.
Hi from Latvia.
Zone Network Central.
That's right.
Oh.
That's where they're from. Hello from Spain. Welcome, Portugal, Canada,
Hey.
South Carolina, Texas,
Boom.
Anybody
sure-
from Nashville?
South Africa. I see a lot of you still have your chat settings on hosts and panelists. You want to change that to everyone so that everyone can see your posts?
Must be someone from Nashville here.
Nigeria,
Few
South
hours north of
Africa,
Nashville.
Bahamas, Nashville, England, Manchester, Venezuela, Croatia. This is a worldwide event, folks.
New
Yeah,
York.
you are global.
New York.
Montana, yeehaw.
Jamaica, Botswana, Germany, Rotterdam, UK.
Dublin.
Lots of it's pretty sick metal in Germany. You know what country has the sickest metal though? Anybody?
Mm,
Can anybody guess it?
That's not my game, man.
Anybody guess it? It's probably not what you think.
I bet it's like
I see a lot of like Norway, Sweden, Finland, which are very, very good guesses. But somebody nailed it. Australia.
Really?
Australia has like a ton of killer metal bands, dude.
we have a student in our program who's from Australia, and he came to one of our mastermind events and brought a metal track, and it was really, really good. So
Love
I
it.
can confirm.
Yeah, dude. When are you guys gonna make some metal track? I did one. No, I didn't do one because it was an instrumental. So no like super aggressive like screaming or anything like that. But it was in the metal realm. It's progressive metal. Anyone work on orchestral? Yeah, I have orchestral experience. Scoring, both scoring and for like commercial music applications.
Give it a couple more minutes. I've got some reminder emails that usually bring in a good group of folks going out. Who here got an email from me? One's in chat if you got an email.
Every
Ah.
come on.
I think I got
Low-hanging fruit.
about 14.
Better to know and not need it than need it and not have it. Better
You're
to have the
absolutely-
email and not need it than need the email and not have it.
That's right.
I tell Caleb, I don't know if anybody's a fan of The Office, but I basically send out like a woof, if you remember that, where they like email, text, fax, all at the same time. Someone got an email of me being Caleb. That's true.
Devin asks, very curious how you tackle the dynamic range of a piece during the mixing process of orchestra. Yeah, I can give you the short and sweet answer on that. Lots of limiting, lots of volume automation.
You have to be pretty intentional with that. It's a lot of automation.
And also just allowing it to be dynamic. That's the nature of that genre. Right? Allowing more room for dynamic range there. Just be a little bit more flexible with it. You know, it's not commercial music. It's just like pretty much slammed it and pretty much big block of energy, but orchestral film scoring stuff, you know.
Depends if it's for film or if it's for
Trailer.
a trailer or TV. Those will be different than, even TV will be different than movies. And then if you're doing just like commercial stuff or like advertisements, that will be different again. You don't want as much dynamics.
Or if you're just
There.
like tossing up a bunch of microphones and doing a live capture, an orchestra, and putting it on an album, that's different too.
Yep.
I love the Mandalorian soundtrack. I have it as a playlist in my Spotify, all chapters,
Wee.
seasons and chapters. Yeah.
You know what's an underrated soundtrack for TV show? Any guesses? Anybody have any guesses?
I know y'all got 1 minute to guess.
1
The
minute to
Office.
guess before we start. Yellow Jacket's good, not it. American Horror Story, no. Price is Right, yes, but not it. Knight Rider, Lost. Dude, there it is. That's what I was gonna say.
Lost.
Lost is incredible. Bonus points to Brian.
I've
Brian,
been
if
afraid to
you
go
can
back
find
and
me-
experience Lost again.
If you can find me in Nashville, Tennessee, Brian, I'll get you a free t-shirt. You just gotta find me first.
I've done it 2 times so far.
I'm about to do my second time around, I think.
It's cool. It's cool. Like you looking at it from a whole different perspective the second time through. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
That piano track, I think, was like the first thing I ever learned on piano.
Well, that's cool. What was the first thing I learned on piano? I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, probably chopsticks. Yeah.
Lost is week 3 in TRE. That's funny.
Feels like it. Our students call week 3 Hell Week.
Stuff.
It's-
Hey, just a reminder, everyone who's in the chat section on hosts and panelists, make sure to change your chat settings from hosts and panelists to everyone. It's a little blue drop-down box next to the 2 thing here, right above the type message here. Blue drop-down box, select everyone.
John's on week 3 right now. How you doing, John? You hanging in there?
Mhm.
Yeah, help week too. Yeah, I need a lot of help.
Good stuff. What do you think? You guys ready to get going? Give me 1,422 in the chat if you're ready to get started here. All right. I don't see any commas.
I just
there's
saw.
one. Yeah, there's one. Yeah. All right. Sweet.
That's like doing a horse shot and saying, "Oh, you have to bank it."
I love when someone
No heads up.
spends a bunch of time typing out a question and then we do like a ones in chat thing and it's like immediately.
See ya.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, folks, let's dive in. I love day 2. This is one of my favorite days. I guess day 3 is awesome too, but we're going to dive a lot deeper in today to mixing. It's where we get a little more serious. Yesterday was a ton of reflection, a ton of emphasis on reimagining the way we look at our mixes, a different mindset. And I hope that was all really valuable to you. Did any of you do the assignment of playing with some frequency analyzers? One in chat if you did some of the action items that we talked about yesterday, which are right here. Did you go through that? Did you learn anything? What did you take away? Did it give you a different perspective? Did you discover anything new? Did it give you a reset mentally, maybe? I can't see the chat. I assume some of you did it, and I assume some of you didn't. That's okay. It's all for your own good. This is stuff I use to help me stay in a good mindset. I know a lot of really, really pro guys that still want to keep an objective mindset who use this stuff. And it's a great way to keep yourself grounded while also not being afraid to bring in the more subjective creative sides of yourself. So it doesn't just mean that we're robots and we're left-brained and we're all technical. It just gives us an opportunity actually to be founded in that and let the other stuff flow more naturally. Actually enhances the subjective, enhances the creative. So hopefully you're all able to do that. If you haven't, I hope you can play with that sometime in the future. We really were talking yesterday about the power of objectivity. We start with mastering in our program and on these Fix the Mixes because it is, again, the most objective part of the process, right? It's the thing most people kind of skip over, right? We start out a lot of times in our careers and we're creatives and we like to create. We like to have fun. We like to build. We like to express ourselves. And we do that. We start out, with an instrument or maybe singing, and eventually maybe we start into some production. We get a computer, we get a DAW, we go down those roads. And I recommend everyone do that. If you're a musician, get in there, get creative, learn how to build stuff, learn how to even record things. I think that's all really, really important. But there comes a limit to how far that can take you on your own. A lot of what gets skipped over, just probably because it's not necessarily as fun, maybe as creating, is that objective part. And there's a whole bunch of science behind why it's important. The reason we do all this subjective stuff is because we're trying to express ourselves. We're trying to give our ideas. We're trying to be creative, but we are limited by science in some ways. We're limited by acoustics. We're limited by how speakers work, the understanding of how speakers represent sound. So if we really want to be able to express our ideas, then we do at some point need to explore objectivity, because it's only going to help us express our ideas even more thoroughly. So what's the next level with all this, and who is objectivity for? I want to start by dispelling a myth for the self-producing artist. Some of you are just making your own music. You want to be artists. You're into artist development. You want to get plays. You want to tour. You want to do all of that. Would it be important then for you to learn, in my opinion, mastering, mixing, the objective side of things? Absolutely. Why? Well, first off, there's a myth out there that you can't mix and master your own material. Have you heard that before? Have any of you heard that before? Ones in chat, if you've heard that. And the reasoning is pretty sound, right? We hear that You know, if you work on your own stuff, you can't be objective. If you work on your own stuff, you're too close to it. And there is danger of that. So I'm not saying there's not danger of that. However, I've seen time and time again something more important happen for people who learn how to do the process of mixing their own stuff and mastering their own stuff correctly. There is a way to compartmentalize those processes in a way that you can do it all yourself. And what happens is that no one can understand your vision as much as you can. No one knows how to express it quite the way you do. And in fact, we've probably all been at times disappointed by the mixes and masters we get back from people because they just don't have quite the vision that we have. Now, you have to be careful with this. Once again, you can totally get lost and get too close, but there is a way, and we've seen this just with our students, when learned to compartmentalize the mix and mastering process can be understood by the creator of the content, and you can take your idea much farther than anyone else can. I've seen it. And I've learned it especially because a lot of times I've mixed and mastered stuff for people and then watched them learn to do it and then seen them do it and go, theirs is better. And I'm pretty good at what I do, but I've seen them take it really far and express this incredible idea. And so once again, by learning the objective part of things, by learning the left brain scientific part of stuff, it's not going to end up diminishing your ability to be creative. It's going to enhance it. Even if you don't end up mixing and mastering your own stuff, you'll make different choices as a producer that will later allow the mixer and mastering engineer to elevate it farther than they could if you didn't understand the things. Because everything you do from the very moment you press play the first time all the way through the process adds up to that final moment when you finally put a limiter on it and turn it up to industry standard volume. All the good choices you made and all the bad choices you made will suddenly be exposed. And so you understanding that process gives you a perspective that can actually enhance your stuff more than anything else I've ever seen. This is why we teach it this way. This is why we start the fix and mixes this way. It's not just a gimmick. It's from years and years of experience working with producers, engineers, knowing how it works for them and seeing the results of this. So that is a myth. You can take it farther, and I suggest that there is some value in you learning and focusing on the objective stuff. It's not necessarily as fun to learn. You have to focus. It's kind of hard. You have to really invest in it. You have to get your room right. You have to get your ears right. You have to really understand the tools, but it will unlock you if you allow it to. For those of you who are, we kind of went through this stuff, and that end mind perspective, of course, as well is important. For those of you who are mix engineers already, I think a lot of you, if I understand the industry, a lot of times we'll do mixes for people. And how many of you, ones in chat, just throw in a free master for people? And you do it like on Isotope or just apply a limiter or something like that. Do you include that in your mix sometimes?
How about vocal pitch correction?
Right.
Editing. People group that in too, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, editing. We'll talk about that at some point. That's not mixing either. But if you're mixing in mastering, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And I want you to, if you are just a mix engineer and you're not fully proficient at mastering, if you really don't fully understand it, I encourage you to learn it. I think it's one of the most valuable things you can learn as a mix engineer, even if, again, you don't master your own stuff. What it will teach you is to push back on your own mixes, even if you're just doing your own stuff. Like if you're a self-producing artist, it will teach you to push back on your own mixes. What does that mean? It will teach you the stuff that you can't fix in mastering. It will teach you the stuff that's hard to fix in mastering. It will teach you the stuff that limits mastering engineers from sending the track to the moon, which is what a mastering engineer really should do. It holds you back from all that. And you learn the things and the mistakes you make during the mixing process that are holding you back. So it's this self-reflection you get, this end in mind self-reflection. Now, if you're working for other people, it allows you to push back on your clients' mixes or productions even better. What stuff can they do so that you can mix it and or master it to a higher degree? It works for both mixing and mastering. No, why would we do that? Well, the better the product that we can deliver to the client, the happier the client is, and the more they're going to come back to you forever and pay you for what you're worth. So we want to help them help themselves. they probably haven't gone through all the stuff you will go through to learn this stuff and be objective and have the great room and have the great ears. So it's up to you then to be a line of defense for them against themselves. A lot of times with clients, what I'll do is, and with my mastering company and mixing company, I offer free notes on any mix or master that someone wants me to do. What do these notes consist of? Anything I think they could do that would allow me to do my job better to a degree based upon my assessment of their skill level. So if I think they can do it, I'll have them do more. If I have a sense that they're pretty lost, I might not have them do anything or much at all. But I offer these notes, they send it back to me. I'm able to elevate it to a higher level, and they're stoked. They'll love you forever. They love that process. It's a free service I offer to my clients. And this is the stuff, you know, if you're worried about AI infiltrating the industry, AI is going to be a long time before it can do stuff like this, where it can break down and give notes and have communication and have client feedback and one-on-one and pick the brain of the creator and all that kind of stuff. That stuff's not going away. And what we're going to pay for when we pay for this stuff, when our clients pay for this stuff, is the human experience. So you're offering them the human experience, but we have to be really objectively sound to be able to do that. I promise you, if you do this, it will throw rocket fuel on your career. Your clients will be way more happy. They'll come back to you forever and they'll pay you a lot more. So you can offer mixed notes. If it's not something that I think they're capable of doing, then I have the assessment ability to say, okay, why don't I mix for you? Or sometimes I don't take the project. If objectively I know, because of what I've learned, that there are problems in this mix or this production or whatever it is in this situation that are going to hold me back from doing something that I would be proud of, at least on some level, it's better to say no and not take the project and not waste your time on something that won't add a piece to your portfolio, that won't do any good for you in terms of marketing, which they probably won't like anyway because they have unrealistic expectations and they want to sound like Kanye when they sound like bubblegum. So sometimes the greatest thing that I'm working with students on when it comes to the business side of things, you know, we help students with that part too, is knowing when to say no and knowing how to value yourself. It's easy to take that guy down the road as a client who doesn't pay you very much. His stuff's not very good. He's the most picky because he can't do it himself, and there's no way you can take it there. He'll never like it. He's paying you the least amount, and it's a hassle. Those clients aren't worth your time. You need to value yourself more. And the way to value yourself more is to find the people who have good stuff, who will value what you do. They'll pay you the most and they'll appreciate what you do the most. Even though they're paying you more, they'll actually appreciate what you do more than the guy down the road. This is my experience. And so the power and the mindset to say no sometimes and to value yourself more, to say, hey, I'm better off marketing myself right now. I'm better off doing something else with my time than to take this job that won't be good for me. There's wisdom in that, but not very many people have that wisdom to do it. It allows us to manage expectations and communication. Now, a lot of times we think of mixing and mastering service as the service itself. I will tell you that 80% of your success as a mix and mastering engineer comes down to how you communicate with clients and how you manage the project and how you manage expectations. If you do that up front, if you have great communication, if you get them in the right mindset, a lot of times, again, we're saving them from themselves. They probably have demoitis. They're probably too close to it. There's so many ways you can shoot yourself in the foot. The way you take payment, the way you do all this stuff will decide whether you're successful in your career or not. If you're not getting the work you want, if you're not having the success you want, if people aren't coming back to you, it's not necessarily because of your mix and mastering skills. It's almost certainly because of expectation management and communication. This allows you to do that better because you can be more objective, something big that we talk about in our program with our students. And then just one last thought on the economy of mastering, just on an economic level, on a monetary sense, you should divide these services from each other. And if you're not, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Let me show you why. Mixing, hopefully you could get down to 4 to 6 hours on a mix and that you could charge $400 to $600 for a mix. That's kind of the, general entry point of someone who's doing this at a level that will sustain them. So you can get down to 4 to 6 hours and charge $400 to $600 for it. You're making $100 an hour. That's pretty great money. You can live off that if you can get some clients and you do the rest of the process correctly. But if you compartmentalize mastering or just do mastering or find a way to have mastering be a part of your business, the thing you need to understand is that mastering is hard to learn. It takes practice. It takes time. It takes dedication to skill, repetitious practice, all that. But once you do it, it actually doesn't take a ton of time to master a project. 10, 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Depends on what it's for. Maybe a major label project would take you a little bit more, but you charge $75 to $100 per hour for it for the indie level artist, which means you're actually making $400 to $500 per hour. I have students who'll get a project, 12 songs. It'll probably take them an hour and a half, $1,200 in an hour and a half. So what you tell me which one's a better dollar per hour, but a lot of people are just including mastering, right? They'll just throw a limiter on or throw isotope on there and they're shooting themselves in the foot because that's an extra charge you can have. I even have a lot of people in the program who are artists who want to be artists, but they learned mastering. So they're like, why the heck not? Maybe I should just do some mastering for people. I can do it. And they're supporting their artist self by learning mastering because they can do it in minimal time. All they need is maybe like 10 hours worth of clients a month. And they can live off that and have some money to actually invest in their artist profile. So something to think about, the economy of mastering. I think it's really fascinating stuff. There's so much on the business side of all of this, but ultimately learn mastering, learn objectivity. It's very, very important. I can't say it enough. I'm a geek about it. I will move on. It's fine.
Well,
Jake's getting antsy. Let's go. Who wants to talk about mixing? Should we dive in? The next 2 days are going to be all from this point on, all about mixing. And we have a game plan. Today, we're going to focus on session prep, editing, and an initial volume balance. Tomorrow will be a deep dive into frequencies, dynamics, and space. By the end of it, we'll have a really nice sounding song. We'll compare it to what we did the first time. We'll go, yay, that was awesome. But you get a hands-on look at the entire process all the way through, from the very first steps to the last steps. Now, for any of you who haven't been here before with us on a Fix the Mix, what would you say in terms of importance? What would be the percentage of importance from day 1 to day 2? 50-50, 60-40? 30-70. Which day is more important to the quality of your mix? Gotten any answers, Jake?
we got plenty of answers. We got some people who have nailed it. Some people are saying, ask me at the end.
Good answer. Here's the reality as I see it. It's an 80-20 rule. And why do I think this is important? Well, I think a lot of times we don't emphasize enough the session prep, editing, and initial volume balance. We focus on, EQing and compressing. We get into our session, we just start EQing and compressing. We put space on stuff. There is a better way to do everything. And what you'll find by the end of today and tomorrow is that if done right, day 1 will get you 80% of the way there to a high quality mix. And then day 2 is really just frosting and cherry on top. It's important. It's refinement. It is a part of that professional sound, but it's less important than you think if you do day 1 properly. So that's what we're going to focus on. Today, we're going to focus on what I believe is the 80%, and then tomorrow we can see the rest of it. So why is that? Why are the initial parts of the mixing process so powerful? Well, session prep is really important. I don't think we maybe emphasize enough or consider enough the value of the mindset we're in when we're doing the things that we do. It's like when we're creating something, right? How easy is it to be distracted from creation if someone walks in the room or a phone rings or something and it takes us out of the creative moment? Well, mixing is a lot like that too. And a lot of times a failure to prep things properly and or edit things properly to begin with, what happens is you get into the mixing workflow and then suddenly find that things aren't prepped properly or edited properly, and suddenly we have to go out of the mixing mindset and then go fix a problem that should have been fixed before. We're not in the flow anymore. We lose track of where we were. We lose track of what we were thinking about. We're going to do some menial task that has nothing to do with actual mixing or creativity or even objectivity. It's just some menial task that isn't very important, and it takes us out of that workflow. You'll notice chefs, I think, are a great example of this, right? A great chef preps everything beforehand. They have everything laid out. All the ingredients are chopped. Everything is measured out so that when it comes time to cook, right, you can cook and you can be aware of heat and temperature. You can be aware of the flavor profile and all the things that actually matter in cooking. And you don't have to remember you forgot to cut the onion and suddenly your pan's burning. You know what I mean? And this is the example of what happens with mixing. We're also going to talk today, before we have Jake do his demo, about how what we teach is and what we believe is volume is everything. Your ability to work with gain and volume is, again, when I say everything, I say 80%. It's really everything. Mixing is an exploration of volume. What do I mean by that? When we're mixing in 3 dimensions of space. The listener will hear what we do in 3 dimensions of space. We're trying to balance in those dimensions. We're trying to create space within those dimensions. So we have depth, which is how things sound if they sound close or farther away. What causes depth in a mix? That one's easy. That's just volume. Things that are quieter sound farther away. Things that are louder sound closer. What about width? It has to do with stereo, panned left to right, the phase of things. Those are pretty easy to understand. But what about height? What creates height? If you haven't been here before, what creates height in a mix? Does anyone know?
EQ, 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 frequencies, 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 frequencies.
All these cheaters have been here before. Cheaters, all of you.
Someone said Atmos.
Yeah. No, it's height. Height is frequencies. Think about how we experience frequencies as the listener to music. Where do we experience bass? It's not above us in the clouds. We feel it in the earth. We feel it in our connection of our feet to the ground. We feel it in our gut. That's where we feel bass. It's very visceral. It's actually a dimension of space that we feel it in. Where do we feel mids? How do we talk about mids when we talk about them? They're warm. They're comforting. They're right. It's like a warm blanket. That's how we think about mids. Where do we experience those? You tend to kind of experience those into your chest, right? What about highs? Where do we experience those? I tend to think of highs in my jaw, in my forehead, in my face, and above me in the air. We talk about, even use words to describe the higher frequencies. We talk about them as air, as head voice. So there's this dimension of space we're painting in with frequencies. A lot of people don't fully understand this concept, but it's really, really important. When we're sitting down and thinking of the soundscape that we're creating, we need to build out and balance all of these these dimensions of space. Volume is actually almost everything. So frequencies, why are we talking about this? Frequencies don't seem like volume, but frequencies are most altered by volume. We think of EQ altering frequencies the most. That's not true. We actually alter it by volume the most. What do I mean by that? How you set things in your initial volume balance of your mix does much more than EQ in terms of laying out the frequencies. If we have tons and tons of shakers, for example, that takes up all the sonic energy, and all we hear is brightness, right? If that's too loud. If all we have is bass in there, it takes all the sonic energy and everything else goes away. And so we're actually building an EQ, a frequency pattern, by where we're putting things and how loud we're putting things. And that all has to do with volume. So you could almost flip that on its side, put it on an EQ spectrum like we see, and think of faders as an EQ, because that's what it is. The EQ that we use later, that we'll use tomorrow, is about fixing micro things. This is the macro. So volume here is the key, right? We affect the EQ balance of our entire track most by volume. What's next? Width is most altered by volume. Width is panning, but panning is volume. It's just changing the volume of the side. The pan knob is on the mixing console on the fader for a reason, because it's just really volume. It's taking volume away from one side and adding it to the other. And we're painting in that dimension with first, mostly just volume. The volume we have side to side. And depth is easy to understand. It's most altered by volume. Things that are quiet are farther away. Things that are loud are closer. So we actually paint in all three dimensions of space on the 80-20 rule, most with just volume. And even dynamics are most influenced by volume. Jake's going to demonstrate this today. It's one of the coolest things, and a lot of people aren't doing this. We think of dynamic control as being compressors and limiters, and that's true, but once again, that's the micro. The macro has to be done by us when it comes to gain staging things properly and gain automating things properly. We're going to do that today. So we're going to talk about volume automation. That's different than just a fader. We're actually writing in automation. We're telling things when to turn up and when to turn down on a lane. But you take this, for example, this is a waveform. If you just sent that through a compressor, the compressor is not going to do a very good job. It would take that big spike over on the left and do too much to it and not hit maybe anything else. Or if you turned it down so it doesn't too much to the first big transient there, it won't do anything to anything else. Or if you have it affect everything else, it'll clamp down on that one too much. So we're going in and being intentional with this. And what we'll see is that the things that are the most important that we focus on in the music, a lot of times the vocals, there's a lot more TLC, there's a lot more care that needs to go into, and a lot of intention that needs to go into how the volume rise and falls, how words come out, how the ends of phrases are heard. And so a lot of times we'll go through and we'll take down peaks like that. There's several ways of doing that we'll show you. And then oftentimes, like if you see the move that they did on the far right of that waveform that we see, they're bringing up the tail of that word. Say that's a word. Let's say that's a vocal. They're bringing up the intimacy of the tail of that word. And that's all stuff that a compressor isn't necessarily making those choices for you with any sort of intention at all. We have to make that intention. So we see that even dynamic control on a macro scale is done by the choices we make with how we gain stage and gain automate everything and volume automate everything. We'll show you that today if that's confusing, but that's exactly what we're doing. So our goal today is volume only mixing. We're only going to use volume, and we're going to show you that we can take a mix 80% of the way there just with volume. We're going to show you each part of that step. We're going to go through it. It's a lot of fun. And I think this is a fun challenge for those of you who will do this tonight for your action item. Push yourself to see how far you can take a mix with just volume. That's really fun to do because it makes you have to think about things the right way. And I love it because it actually makes everything you do way more intentional. Okay, mix with intention. We're being intentional today about creating balance in all the dimensions of space. But you'll notice what Jake does today. He'll come across things at certain times where he goes, okay, volume's not solving the problem here or enhancing it in the way that I want to. And he'll make a little note. He doesn't solve it today or enhance it today. He's making a note for himself tomorrow. He's staying in the mindset of intentional creating a balance within the dimensions of space using volume. But then tomorrow when he comes in, he has direction from himself. Some intention to go, not just start throwing EQs and compressors on everything, but to see what couldn't be fixed with volume and go there first. And then by the time you're done with that, you're pretty much all the way there. So you're working with more intention today and you're working with more intention tomorrow. I think that's incredible. We'll talk about fixed first and then enhance. We want to fix problems and then enhance. We'll show you the value of that. We'll also be using a reference, of course. If you had mixed notes, that would apply as well. We won't have that today, but we have references. I'm excited. Who's excited? One's in chat. If you're ready to see Jake execute on everything I just talked about, show us all the magic. Jake, you ready, my man?
Ready to go. Let's rock and roll.
Cool.
It's a lot of ones.
It's a lot of ones.
Whew. You can give me screen share. I will pop this DAW open.
You got it. You're good?
Wait, thank you. Here's the lay of the land, guys. That's what we got. Show you what's going on here. Let me get all kind of situated. All right. Okay, so I pulled in these tracks. There were about 98 of them.
I should mention really quick. Today and tomorrow, Jake will have done some of the work previously. So today he's done the session prep and editing, so he won't do that live. He will focus on the volume mixing, but he's going to walk you through every step he did in session prep and in editing. So anything he did, he'll walk you through what and why he did it. It'll just save a little bit of time.
Totally. Yeah, I actually didn't even do any editing on this one. Production is solid. I can usually count on these particular producers to like give me some decent tracks. So this is, let's see, I'll just kind of show you how I've got things routed and bussed. I've got drums here, all sent to a drum bus. I've got our bass tracks here sent to a bass bus. I've got all of our guitar tracks here sent to a guitar bus. I've got all of our keys here, and my keys bus usually houses things like synths and orchestral, basically anything that's not bass guitars, drums, and vocals. And then we have vocals sent to a bus. All right. We've got our stereo out. So taking these 90 or something, whatever tracks, and just kind of consolidating them down and making this a little bit simpler for myself, consolidating it down to 5 buses. Right? So summing to 5 tracks here. We are all gain staged here. So gain staging, typically, like we're looking for each one of these tracks to be sitting between -10 and -20 decibels on the way in. So if the fader's sitting at 0, we want to see this average signal level here. Can you guys hear that all right? One in the chat if you can hear that.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So you can see that average signal level is sitting between -10, -20. This one's hitting right up at -10. We're kind of in that sweet spot. The reason we do that is, anybody know the reason? Who hasn't been here before? Yep.
Headroom.
Yep, nailed it. That's all. Just getting some, just getting some headroom here. All right. So I went through and did this for all the individual tracks. You can do this manually by adjusting the region gain up or down, or you can use a normalize feature inside of your DAW. Either way, it's fine. I recommend you use the normalize feature. It's just like super quick, shortcut way to do things. In this DAW, normalize region gain, you go to individual regions and then peaking no higher than, and then your target level would be like -10. Or if you want even more headroom, you could do -15 or whatever you're comfortable with. Right? So I can't really use that function right now because my DAW's acting a little bit funny. I think I have to update.
Finally.
I know. I hold
Yeah,
up.
so you're just telling your DAW, and most DAWs have this. You're just saying every track, every region, in this case, that is the full track, should be no louder than -10. So it's just optimizing the gain staging for every track for you instead of having to go through and do it by hand. If you don't know how to do that in your DAW, that's something to jot down and just look up in Google or YouTube. It'll be a simple procedure for you.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover in these next couple of days, guys. So we'll let you know if there's something that you can Google or YouTube later. Just take note, write it down, and come back to it later.
Yeah, anything you feel is Googleable or YouTubeable, that's just simple things like that. Just jot those down, and we'll stick to the high level stuff. But those are still important questions you should research and know how to do.
Yep, 100%. So I did all of this manually just by eye. So some of these might be a little wonky, but we'll adjust as we kind of go. Let's see. I think that's it for the lay of the land here, guys. Any kind of final questions before we move into starting to get a volume balance?
So no editing on this one. Editing would include what generally? Give some examples of what you might have to do.
Yeah, timing, tuning, and alignment. There's just like timing and anything that's like slightly off time or just like kind of sounding kind of sloppy in a distracting or disorienting way. You want to tighten that kind of stuff up. Tuning would be, off pitch, anything that's off pitch. Typically these are things like vocals, right? Let's see, what else?
What if someone sends you a track and it has a lot of editing to do?
And you charge them for it. I had this the other day. I had a client come to me and said, hey, I've got this track. We're ready to do mixing on this thing. And I let them know, I was like, hey, I took a look at these tracks. You're going to need about, $400 worth of editing before we're ready for mixing. Right? You guys can do this yourself. Here's what I would do, or you can have me do it. I'm happy to do that for you. Right? But if you want to hit the goal, X, Y, and Z has to be done.
Editing is not mixing.
Yeah.
Editing is not mixing. It's not your job to deal with someone's bad alignment of everything.
Yeah.
That should all be dialed in, or tuning of everything. That's not your job. You can do little things. If it's just reasonable, it's quicker for me to just do it. I'm fine to do it. Or if sometimes there's some drum replacement to do or something, happy to do that. It's pretty quick. But if it's a lot of work, it's $1 per hour. That's just not. It's not how the industry works. There's people who just edit. And so that is a separate process.
And there's people who just edit vocals, right? So if vocals aren't up to par, that's like something you charge for, right?
Yep.
So, and I always kind of leave it up to the client. Here's what this needs in order to hit the target. If you guys are good with editing, like you can do it on your own, or you can have me do it. Totally up to you. Balls in your court kind of thing. But if you want to hit the target and you want to do this thing right, it has to be done one way or the other. Right? That's the point.
If you need help with vocal editing in school, there should be a replay for our vocal challenge, and we do that all live. You can check it out.
Yeah.
Or join the program. We go into that in depth.
Yep. Or you can hire one of us. It's fine. That's cool too.
No, do it yourself. Learn.
All right. All right, guys. So I'm assuming there's no more questions about like the session setup. We can dig into some volume balance. I want to make sure that I don't miss anybody. How about bad live recordings? Live recordings is that's a different game. You can't talk to somebody who's done a live recording with a whole ton of bleed in it and kind of like sloppy performance and stuff. And, if they have unrealistic expectations about that, say, hey, this is going to sound like, a Grammy winning studio recorded album with, top engineers on it and stuff like that, then you have to have a conversation about realistic expectations. Right?
That's right.
That's all. Only be able to take stuff like that so far. Cool. Yep, we use references. Totally.
We will today.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of questions here, guys, but I think we got to move on. So hopefully we'll be able to tackle some of this stuff as we kind of make our way through. Well,
Yep, we'll come to a lot of this.
yeah, sweet. So what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna get started with the drums. Well, and typically what I like to do is pick one element and kind of bring the rest of the mix around it. Right. So for me, I like to start with the kick and then go on from there. Bring everything else up in and around the kick. So I'll typically start with like a kick snare balance, make sure there's a good kind of like back and forth relationship going between those, and then bring everything else kind of in around those. So let's go ahead. We'll get started here. And I'm gonna lock into kind of a section of the arrangement where there's a lot going on, where there's a whole ton of elements going on here. That looks pretty dense. And we'll start with the kick. Oh, let's get actually first before we start, let's make sure all of these are zeroed out or negative infinityed out. So bring
Important
it all
step not to skip by. So yeah, bring everything except for your bus
yeah.
faders down to negative infinity.
And then we'll bring up the kick to 0. Start from there. Here we go. Yeah, I think these claps are actually, they were baked into the snare loop. It sounds like, so we can get rid of these. Actually sounds like that tambourine was baked into that snare loop too. Yep. So I'm gonna get rid of that tambourine. It's got a good feel to it. Like all those subdivisions are filled out really, really nicely. So there's a lot of like danceable kind of like movement happening here. Pretty cool. Let's see if this noise snare was included in the snare loop.
Need to, hey Jake, real quick.
Yeah.
If you weren't here yesterday, y'all need to go into Zoom settings
Oh yeah. I should have, that's my bad. I should have told you guys.
and go
Here's
to
the settings.
audio
I'm pasting it.
settings
Yeah, I'm pasting in the chat.
and turn on original sound for musicians. Check the box's high fidelity music mode and stereo audio. Otherwise, you'll be hearing this in mono. And it won't sound very good.
Yeah. And somebody just like very quickly asked, are you just deleting tracks which are overlapping on frequency? No, I'm not. I'm deleting tracks that are duplicates. I'm just deleting duplicate tracks. Well, this one, this noise snare, this is actually baked into the snare loop. So I'm going to delete that as well. Cool. Those are kind of like our main, that's our main kit right there. Somebody asked, everything panned to center at this point. Yes, and there's stereo information going on.
Yep, baked in.
So it's all baked into those tracks, right? So we have to think about that. We have to consider that there's left, right information baked in to the production, right? So we might not necessarily need to be doing like all kinds of crazy panning moves because it's already done. Bring this sweep in and this tom fill. Wrong sweep. And it sounds like that's actually also baked in. Another track, so we're gonna get rid of that. What about this tom fill? Boom. Yep. Cool. Man, we're just making this easier and easier. Same thing. So this will happen, guys. If you get tracks from a producer, sometimes they'll include a stem for a group of multi-tracks, right? It's just part of it. And then you get to decide, okay, do I want individual control of these multi-tracks, or do I want to use the group? Do I want to use the stem? You know, I know these guys, they're tight, they've got good balance, and chances are they've blended these elements together in a way that's very intentional, right? And that's very important to them. So I'm just going to go that route. Don't need to overcomplicate it. Use the stems. Let's see if that's baked into anything. Nope. All right. That one little bit. Cool. And we just simplified this a lot. We got rid of what, like 6, 7, 8 tracks here, just kind of like going through and doing our initial exploration. So that's pretty cool. Kind of roll into the song a little bit. So this sweep was actually baked in also. Just gonna check this. Cool. I was just checking that the intro percussion was not at a level that far exceeded the full arrangement, right? Because that can be a little disorienting. Yeah. Just all the drums. I just want this to be punchier. I think it can hit a little bit harder. So that's a note for me to kind of keep in mind as I kind of go through compression, dynamics processing, frequencies processing. And I'm not going to rabbit hole on that right now. I'm just going to take a note, keep moving on with volume. I'm going to skip bass for now. I like to bring that in last. Let's take a look at what we got going on. So this enters the arrangement. So guitar seems to be the first thing. One of the first things anyway. So we can go ahead and start here. What's going on here? Let's see what these are. Again, just exploring these tracks. This is the first time I've heard this. Yeah. So these two have actually been baked together into this track. So I'm going to get rid of those. Let's see what this one is. Woo! Yummy. What's this one? Oh, that's that. And then this is probably these. Yeah, so that's baked into that. That's baked into that. They got to blend the way they like it up in here. So if I want to control those, I could keep that, but they blended it to the way that they like them. Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. Just making life easier here. So now we've got guitar 1, we've got guitar 2. Let's see what this is. It sounds like that is also inside of this. And what's this? Yep, that's there too. Sick. This is great. So if I wanted that kind of flexibility of all the individual tracks, cool. I could keep those and I can work with those. But here, I mean, they blended it to taste. A little bit of processing here too. That's fine. They just grouped them together.
Hey, Jake.
Yeah.
Can you do a quick 10 seconds on gain versus volume? There's just questions in chat.
Oh yeah. Gain is, you want the, here's the quick. Gain is at the top of the track, where the signal's at the top of the track before it hits the fader. When it hits the fader level, it's volume. That's the simple answer, right? It's gain all the way up through here, through the channel, right? The signal goes through the channel from the top, and then flows through all your plugins here and all your effects, makes its way down here to this portion. And once it hits this right here with the pan pot and the fader, it now becomes volume. That's it. That's all it is. Very, very quick, straightforward answer, right? So if I'm making changes up here to the region, it's gain, right? If I'm moving the waveform up and down, it's gain. Because this region is effectively here at the input of the channel.
The gain's important for a few reasons. Important for headroom, like we already discussed. That's why we normalized the gain down to -10 dB before it goes into the channel strip. It's also going to give headroom to the plugins that you use. So it's hitting at that volume to the plugins. And it also allows you to do things on a fader level later. So we're doing 2 levels of fader here. We have individual tracks that have faders that we're now able to build with everything normalized. And then later we'll have them bust into another fader. So if everything's a little loud, you could just turn down the buses and get a little bit more headroom. So there's levels of kind of gain and then volume and then bus volume, all affecting everything. And there's reasons why you use and do work in each of those sections. But gain primarily is about headroom and doing a lot of automation there. So a little bit ahead. So for some of you who are following, if you did volume automation on there, then you can't use that fader anymore because it's linked to the volume automation. If you do gain automation, which is what we'll do, then you can still use that fader to turn it up globally while not affecting the automation that you made.
Yep.
And we'll show you different ways of doing that later.
Yeah. Oh. Cool. Somebody mentioned that this might be an important piece of the puzzle here that wasn't included in the balance. I'll double check that. No, it's in there. Cool. Let's actually get these balanced then. Now that we've kind of eliminated duplicates. Get these little cool reverse effects in there. So there's some pretty gross mid-range buildup happening on I wrote left. On the right side, in the right channel. And that's going to need to be addressed with some EQ later on. Just writing a note. I'm not rabbit holing. I'm not fixing it right now. Just writing a note. Sick. Hear how all these pieces are starting to like fit into the puzzle. You can hear how the producers were kind of like thinking about this in the way that they blended the guitars together and panned them and thought about width and spatial effects and things like that, all starting to come together in context, right? Sick. Love that. Feels so good. Really well done, man. Is this you or is this you and Dane?
Oh, we didn't do this one. This is them.
This is them?
Yep.
Sweet.
We've done production, Dan and I, for this band in the past, but this is all them.
Who's their
And,
producer? Who is their like they self-produced?
internally? Yeah.
Yeah, got you.
And they're, I don't know if you know this, so they're, one of them's in the program.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feels really good. Feel is there. Solid. All right, let's run into this and bring some of this stuff in. 3, 4.
Nice.
Okay, this is baked into a different percussion track. That is also baked in, and I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say this other one's going to be baked in.
Now, if he ever wants to go back and separate some of these out or layer them in, he could.
I could.
He could ask for the layers, but if it's sounding good, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
You really don't. And again, like I think I might have mentioned this earlier, but dude, if a producer is giving you something, it's a really good tell of kind of what they're feeling and how they wanna, how they want the blend to be. And instead, like you said, instead of reinventing the wheel here, let's go with that intention and just kind of build upon it.
Unless it's a problem, and then you maybe have to ask them to send something, or you do something else.
Yeah.
Baked in just means it's that's a term we use that doesn't mean anything to some people, huh?
Bounced in place.
Yeah.
Like you just combine, they're stems. You've combined multiple tracks into a single stereo track.
A lot of times we use that terminology with like a plugin. If we bounce the plugin and commit it to the track, it's then baked in. It's not something we can change. It's done. The bread has been made. However you want to say it.
Cool. All right. So we got rid of a few more tracks. Sweet. Starting to feel pretty good here. That was a sick part. Oh, got real jazzy on me. We're gonna have to work that sax in.
It's real sax. It's real sax too. There's a sax player in the band.
I'm just writing reverb. Cool. That synth is cool. Love those like glissando, like it's just like rolling up. Awesome. Is this a double track or an artificial?
People are like, is this the same track as day one?
Sounds artificial. I can't tell.
I think they're here.
I can't tell. It's doubled. It's tight. We're gonna have to work with those saxes. Yeah, we're gonna have to work with those saxes. We'll see. This is cool. Love this synth. Look at the Stranger Things part. Really cool textures happening here. I really like the production on this. This is solid stuff. Well done.
Mood Light.
Yeah.
Tor and Evan and Katya.
Sweet. Were there some synths that are missing? Somebody's saying.
They're good sports, by the way.
But
We asked, they come to us for mixing, but we ask them if we can do it live in front of hundreds of people. It's pretty cool of them to let us use it.
super cool.
No way this is yesterday's track, says Bruno.
Yeah, you guys want to hear yesterday's track? We'll get there.
No.
We'll get there.
I hated it.
I always like to inject, like just randomly inject the track.
You didn't even
on
do
it.
that much to it. You didn't even affect it that much, but somehow you made it terrible.
You want it? You want the honest? I use 2 plugins.
You did that much damage with 2 plugins?
Yep, 2 plugins on that one. I put reverb on the stereo out
I heard that.
and then followed it with some stereo imaging.
That's all you did.
That's all I did.
Wow.
And, you know, obviously like no dynamics control for the vocals, right? Kind of like, but just, and then wanky, you know, wonky volumes across the board.
By the way, both moves I've seen amateurs do. So it's not out of the realm.
I've seen pros do that. I've seen
Yeah,
pros
It's true.
you know, blend reverb and blend like stereo imaging things in and on a mix bus on a stereo out or whatever. Right.
Awful.
But in the wrong hands, if you do it the wrong way, or you don't understand like kind of like the science behind it or the reasons why, then you're just shooting yourself in both feet. Anyway.
Should we give some bass to this?
Yeah,
this guy?
I think so. So
a lot of times you'll do drums and then vocals, but this time you did it differently.
yeah, I've actually switched my process over the past year after watching you guys and after talking to you guys and after experimenting with a few different techniques and a few different workflows. You know, I look at things, I kind of like review things every January. This is the turn of the new year, and like I do some experiments and decide what I'm going to do for the upcoming year. And
Never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop pushing.
dude, I really like this. I really like the vocals last kind of technique. And I like bass last, low end last also. I
Hmm.
think it's a great way to just kind of like approach, because low end can be super challenging, super difficult. So I like to, my ears are most sensitive to upper mids, mid
It was
range.
Devon, right? Last time that did bass last and just had it kind of fit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. He'll
that was a
bring
good
he does
move.
that too, brings it up. Yep. Last. Exactly. So let's see what we got here. Again, just want to get a lay of the land here first. These are probably the same, right? So like if I were to bring these up, let's check it out. So we got a pumping sub bass, and then we've got this rhythmic moog. Yep,
That's both of them together.
yep. And that's okay. Actually, this one I might want to keep separate.
Yeah, I would keep those separate. There's too much
Yep.
fine tuning work to do on those.
On low end, yeah, 100%. I want that flexibility there. What's this? What's this tiny little blip? Oh, what's that doing there?
Oh, that's not what that is. Oh, those are more like effects.
Oh, that's fader down. Okay. I'm just going to keep that there. So we'll say bass low, log, and sub drop. Great. All right. Now that we've got a lay of the land, let's bring this low end in. Actually, I'm going to start with the Moog. This deserves to be up in the low end land.
Yep.
Brass stab. Right? Why? Well, I'll tell you. Whoa. See that right there? That's 60 hertz to 250. Right? What's this Moog doing? $60 hertz to 500. What's this bass low doing? Let's bring it in. Find out. 30 hertz to 500, right? Roughly.
There's some Tetris we need to do with those
Yeah, exactly.
tomorrow.
Exactly. For now, see if we can just get these playing nicely together here. On you right now, that's going to be the mid range. I'm not going to use any of the low end there. This is going to be in the 60 hertz area and the upper mids, right? Because we want that stab. And then this guy is going to be kind of like sitting in the low lows, right? The subs, which it was labeled sub before. So I'm going to kind of order them like that, right? Subs, and then a little bit higher than the subs, and then highest. Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Nope, I'm not. So I've got a note here to clip gain that. So do some clip gain automation on this bass. However, I don't know what the vocals sound like yet, right? So I don't know how I want to treat this until all the pieces are together. I might automate it up, automate it down. The reason why I'm kind of thinking about it is because look at these volume fluctuations, right? And you can feel the volume fluctuations that are happening inside of the track, right? Really loud here, and then it gets quieter, and then it gets louder, quieter, louder, quieter. Let's just listen. Right? Last sub. Where's that sub? Right? It might intentionally be kind of like ebbing and flowing in and out of the arrangement that way, right? So I want to wait till I get all the other pieces in there to know, to decide one way or the other how I'm going to tackle that.
That's what Dane was trying to tackle yesterday in the master.
Oh yeah. Yep. That was that huge fat waveform. Yep. I want that sub drop like really up front. It's a really cool kind of special moment. One more pass. Yep. That does it for me. That floats my boat. Cool. Love it. Let's take a quick break and then we'll start bringing in these vocal tracks. We've got quite a few of them here that we're going to have to kind of like dive into and probably pay attention to some dynamics here and do some gain automation.
Looks like a masterclass on gain automation upcoming, folks. So we'll see you in 5.
For sure. I'm going to bring up the timer here. The Goog timer. My favorite timer. Here it is. All right, guys. See you in 5. Beep, 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 beep. I scare anybody? Ah! All right, sweet. Oh, my camera went weird. Hold on. All right, that's better. Scared your cat. Cool. All right, guys. Any questions before we move into bringing in some of these vocals? Why is there a man in my house? That's funny. It is. Yep. Heavy World Giraffe Day. It's World Giraffe Day today. That's funny. At any point before vocals, are you checking your stereo buses in mono? No, not. I mean, we can. We totally can. If you like to do that, you can. Do you always use track stacks? Yes, I do. Not holding anything back here, guys. This is how I do things. Yeah, noise cleaning is part of editing. I consider it to be part of editing. Totally. Can this be watched later? Yes, in the school platform. Summing stacks, yeah, correct. Yeah. Do I like bananas? Yes, I do. What are the decibel levels? Yeah, I mean, ultimately, after we get like all the vocals and stuff like that, I want this stereo out to be peaking no higher than 6 decibels. That's kind of like the sweet spot. That will give a mastering engineer ample room to work with. It's kind of the target. It's loose. Yeah. Yep, -6. Did I say 6? Yeah, -6. Yeah, bananas are dope. Dope AF. Why is it not recommended to master inside the project?
TBFS.
Yeah, TBFS, exactly. Because if you understand mastering, you don't have to do that. You know, and it's kind of a mindset thing too, to compartmentalize different pieces of the process, right? If you can flip that switch in your brain, fine. But I think ultimately it's I don't want to say better because, you know, people jump at you for that kind of stuff. But it makes more sense and makes my brain happier when I export it from a session, import it to a new session, especially if I'm working on a, you know, project like an album for an artist or an EP for an artist. Just bounce them all out. Keeps your CPU a little bit happier too.
The right mindset. It's best to have the vision of what you should be sending to master. Again, you can only have that if you know what that means, but that's why people do it, because they don't know mastering. And so they're trying to enhance when it's better done in a mastering context.
Yeah, it's really for my brain, personally. It's just, yeah, much healthier. For me, anyway. Anyway. All right, let's move.
So everything up till now, I feel like should be pretty straightforward. I know a lot of people don't game stage properly. It may be new for you to see someone go through and start with a foundational element like a kick and build around it with the volume faders, because that's not necessarily how people do things. But what we're about to see is actually a more advanced thing. And this is something that professional audio mixers are doing, whether they say they are or not. It's kind of that thing that will help you get that really polished vocal sound. It's not done with a bunch of compressors or EQs. It starts with volume automation, and Jake's going to dive into a masterclass on that right now.
Yeah. You better start saying gain automation more though. Nick's gonna have a heart attack.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gain automation. Any automation I ever say from here on forever is gain, not volume.
There you go. Blanket statement.
Legal disclaimer.
Yeah, great disclaimer. All right, let's start bringing these vocals in, guys.
Home I left with nothing but this heart inside his body, and I am making time.
Yep, I'm not even going to touch anything else until we're done with this main vocal. Let's check this vocal in this section. Hardcore listening going on here.
I caught up with the night the first time. I gotta do right to get high, and I'm finally on my own, singing quietly for the road, bringing.
Just getting a listening level on my side of things. Okay, here we go. Let's get that in there.
I caught up with the night the first time. I gotta do right to get high, and I'm finally on my own, singing quietly for the road, bringing me up the good way.
Got to tilt that vocal here too with some frequencies. And clean up the woofiness, the stuffiness a little bit, and kind of make it a little crisper.
I caught up with the night the first time. I gotta do right to get high, and I'm finally on my own, singing quietly for
Okay, so we're gonna keep that level.
home I left with nothing but this heart inside his body, and
Cool. All right. Let's work with this a little bit. Going down the rabbit hole now, guys. Hang on. First thing I'm gonna do here is bounce this in place. Let's see here, so that it shows me a mono track instead of a stereo track, because I just find that a little annoying. There we go. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just easier for me to kind of like visualize it.
home I left with nothing but his heart inside his body, and
So look at all these like peaks and dips in this vocal here, right? Like we got a pretty wide dynamic range happening. I just want to level this vocal out.
home I left with nothing but his heart inside his body, and
So I'm going to get in here with the scalpel and just do this manually. There are some automated tools that will do this for you, like Vocal Rider from Waves, which is cool too. You can use that. I prefer to get in here manually and make kind of like all these decisions myself. Just my part of the process. I think Caleb, you like to do maybe a manual run and then finish it off with Vocal Rider. Is that typically, I mean, I know it's a case by case scenario, but is that kind of like typically your workflow? You're muted.
Recently, I did manual clip gain, and then I did a vocal writer, and then I did some lane automation for the ends of words.
Got you. Yep. And I know guys that will also just do Vocal Rider, or a plugin similar to Vocal Rider. I'm just one of the guys that does it manually.
No, don't just do vocal writer. Again, this needs to be intentional. The whole point of this is that the voice is the key to this song. It's the thing that you're most focused on, and it's the thing that needs the most care, and it needs to tell a story. And so the more you can bring out the intimacy in parts and have it rise and fall and have breath, this is not something AI or this is not something plugins are going to, the choices they're not going to make for you. You have to make those choices. This is not something you just apply a plugin to.
Totally. Can you talk one more time for me? I'm gonna change my levels on my side.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
11, 12.
Any Sesame Street fans in here?
Hardcore.
One in the chat. You guys are too young for that. No, man, we're old. We're older than we look. I promise.
Yeah. We've been doing this for a long time. If you couldn't tell by the dad jokes.
Yeah, for real. Funny. Anyway.
Hold my left with nothing but this heart inside.
Okay, so I think I changed my settings to a point that I'm not happy with. Yeah. Okay.
Hold my left with nothing but this heart inside it.
Okay. A lot of mid-range happening here. Let's get in here.
Hold my left with
Yeah, so I mean, I'm actually gonna start by adding a gain plugin to this thing. And I like to write in all of my like gradual automation with the gain plugin rather than the volume fader. Because it allows me to have static control over the volume fader without it just kind of like slipping around and kind of snapping around on me.
hold my left with no.
Hear that? Hear the difference there? Right? I'm just bringing up the tail end of this vocal.
Hold my left with
Left, right? Left, right.
hold my left.
Without it, it gets buried in the mix. With it, I just bring up the tail end of that word. It brings out all this emotion and all this beautiful detail and nuance of the voice.
Hold my left with nothing.
So then we have this track, this word here, right? That's getting lost in the mix. Just kind of go through, bring it up.
Hold my left with nothing but
So this needs to come down. This is going to need to trail up. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. I'm being very intentional with this like tail end of this word. Vocal writer's not going to do that.
hold my left with nothing but this
All right, that's going to come up even more because I'm getting that lost.
Yeah, there it is.
heart.
Man, it's beautiful, right? Like there's all this beauty in that vocal that's just totally getting lost in the mix. You can bring that out with volume, at that level, once you whip out the scalpel like that, you have complete control over the emotion of the vocal. And the vocal is such an important part. It's in the spotlight. It's what connects us to each other. It's how we communicate with each other. It's what's delivering the message, at least in this specific case, right? So it's even more important to kind of like pay all this extra attention.
Heart inside, this heart inside.
I'm gonna bring this up. This, we're losing this, and I'm actually gonna turn off my snap. And don't worry, we're gonna crossfade all these edits later.
This heart inside is
Right?
heart inside.
Let's take a full listen. Let's kind of like bring this tail end up here. Actually, bring that S down.
His heart inside his body and
By the way, that's a good point. This will save your de-esser's life later. A lot of people think you control with de-essing all the S's and sibilances. This is where that starts, and you can save yourself so much time if you do this process properly.
And lisping your vocalist.
Yeah.
his body and body and body and body and oh,
Got a little overzealous with that.
it is body and oh,
Cool. Just touch more.
body and oh, I am making
So nice, right?
It's really pretty.
This right here.
I am making time.
So nice, man. Great vocalist.
I am making time.
And we'll just kind of do like a little bit of this. Oh,
Making, I am making time.
and it's lost. It's gone. It's gone.
Time. Time.
Dude, her vibrato.
Time.
It's so cool.
I haven't heard anything like that.
Time.
Hear the difference there?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Telling a story.
I think we're gonna move this over a little bit. Just a little bit, right? Just below the instrumentation, just enough where you can hear it, right? These are taste decisions. These are artistic decisions, man. This is not algorithm decision stuff. Cool. Let's listen through and then we'll crossfade. Actually, you know what? Let's crossfade first. And then we'll move on to the second verse. Crossfade. Crossfade. Go.
Hold my left with nothing but his heart inside his body and oh, I am making time. Time.
All right, one more time.
Hold my left with nothing but his heart inside his body and oh, I am making time. Time.
I was going to say, bounce it out and show them a before and after.
Here we go.
Listen to the emotion, the story, just the little things, but it captivates.
Here's before.
Hold my left with nothing but his heart inside his body
And after.
Home I left with nothing but this heart inside his body, and oh, I am making time.
And don't worry, guys, we're going to get that sitting right in the mix. You know, a little later on down the line, we're going to squish it a little bit more with some more dynamics processing to level it out. We're going to get it to cut through a little bit more, but this is a good step.
The first one sounds like a nice singer singing into a mic. Already with those moves, you're hearing more of the story, and it just already sounds more professional.
Yeah.
But compressors wouldn't have made the moves he just made, by the way. Some of those rises and things were like 12 dB. You're never going to find a compressor setting that's going to do that and then treat everything else properly. So, I mean, it just sounds already more pro. And we haven't even compressed or limited or EQ'd or done anything else yet. No de-essing. I think this is the 80-20. Look how far we can take it with just volume.
Yep. Yep. Even just a volume rise here too, right? So like even if we push this up.
Home I left with nothing but this heart inside his body, and oh, I am making time.
Yeah. Love it. Love where that's sitting. Cool. Now we got a second verse that we want to take care of. Let's do it.
I caught up with the night the first time. I gotta do right to get high, and I'm
So I'm actually going to bring these up.
I caught up with the night the first time. I gotta
Down. Let's see if we can get away with doing something like this without it sounding too funky.
I caught up with the night the first time. I gotta do right to get high, and I'm fine.
Okay, this is coming down a little bit. I think we can bring that up. She's already like singing with more of her, with more strength and more breath support here too. So this is already kind of coming out a little bit more even.
This time I gotta do right to get high, and I'm finally on my own.
There we go. Give me some of that tastiness right there.
Finally on my own.
Finally, we can hear the word finally.
Finally on my own, singing.
Like, listen to that run, man. She got a really nice run happening here. Let's pump that up.
Finally on my own, singing.
Well, maybe not that much.
Finally on my own, singing. Finally on my own, singing. Quietly.
Build up there.
And I'm finally on my own, singing.
Is Nick a bot?
Quietly.
Sometimes I wonder the same thing.
Well,
Nick GBT.
On my own, singing quietly.
oh, good stuff.
But I am married to one.
Nice.
And I'm finally on my own, singing quietly for the road.
Singing.
Finally on my own, singing quietly for the road.
Quietly. Come on, Jake, stop doing that.
Singing quietly for the road, bringing me up.
Bringing. Beautiful.
Quietly for the road, bringing me up the good way. For the road, bringing me up. For the road, bringing me up the good.
Okay, interesting. I'm missing that B.
For the road, bringing me
Bringing. Is it right there? Is that the B? Let's see if we can just do this with volume. Sometimes when a consonant falls directly on the beat, and it gets covered up by another instrument, we have to take the approach of just kind of like sliding the B over, or maybe the B to the left or to the right.
Bringing me up.
Bringing me. Let's see what we can do here. First, we're going to try with volume to make that b kind of pop out.
For the road, bringing me up.
Nah, it's hitting right at the same time as that snap.
For the road, bringing me up.
Bringing me up. So let's try to move this over a little bit. See what happens.
For the road, bringing me up.
Bring in.
The road, bringing me up.
Maybe we can make it drag.
The road, bringing me up. Oh, the road, bringing me up.
Bringing. We're gonna play with this, really just trying to get this beat to pop up.
The road, bringing me up the good road, bringing me up the good.
Might just have to let it be.
Road, bringing me up.
Bringing. Yeah. Just have to let it be what it is. Maybe if I bring out the R a little bit more.
Bringing me up, road, bringing me up the road, bringing me up the.
Yeah, that worked. Just catch a little bit of the R on the tail end of that.
Road, bringing me up the good way it's been.
Yeah.
Road, bringing me up the good way it's been day.
Cool. I like that. Gonna bring that down a little bit.
Up the good way it's been day.
That down.
Good way it's been days. I could back down.
Cool.
It's so amazing.
We'll go like this.
Me up the good way it's been.
That's the G.
The good way.
Maybe let's see what we got. See if we can slide this.
The good.
A little bit more of that TH sound.
Me up the good way it's.
We'll take care of that plosive later with EQ.
Bringing me up the good way it's been.
That's it.
Good way it's been days.
And let's bring down this S.
Good way it's been days. I could back down, but it's late.
Okay. Let's waveform 8 a little too much there. Okay.
Days I could back down, but it's late.
Go.
Days I could back down, but.
And this yummy stuff in here has got to come up.
Days I could back down, but it's late.
Little bit wavery in the voice there. Not sure if that's a performance or an editing thing.
But it's late. Down, but it's late. Down, but it's late.
I think that's her voice.
I could back down, but it's late.
Could be, actually, it sounds like a comp fade.
It's been days.
Let's go back a little bit.
Me up the good way. It's been days. I could back down, but it's late. Late. And
Bring that down.
And I'll make
And we'll bring this up. Boop. And let's bring this whole section up.
and I'll make the decision to leave.
Speak up. Can't hear y'all.
The decision to leave. I got all I need.
That much. Easy.
The decision to leave. I got all I need.
Sick. All right, let's do a listen through.
I caught up with the night the first
We caught, I think we,
the decision.
there we go.
I caught up with the night the first time. I gotta do right to get high, and I'm finally on my own, singing quietly for the road, bringing me up.
Okay, so to get,
Gotta do right to get high, and I'm
that's gonna come down. Sound a little unnatural.
gotta do right to get high, and I'm finally on my own, singing quietly. Do right to get high, and I'm finally on my own, singing quietly for the road, bringing me up the good way. It's been days I could back down, but it's late.
Yep, just gotta kind of tame some of this stuff a little bit more. Almost there.
The good way. It's been days I could back down, but it's late. Oh, bringing me up the good way. It's been days I could back down, but it's late.
So interesting. Frequencies do.
Could back down, but it's late. And I'll make,
Bring that and up a little bit more.
and I'll make,
A little bit more.
and I'll make the decision to leave. I got all I need.
And bring that up 2 decibels.
The decision to leave. I got all I need.
And the.
The decision to leave. I got
What?
the decision to leave. I got all I need.
Almost there. Whoa. So close.
The decision to leave. The decision to leave. The decision to leave. I got all I need.
The beginning of this phrase just doesn't come in strongly enough for me. Just gonna spend another moment on this, guys. Bear with me.
The decision to leave. I got all I need. The decision to leave. I got all I need.
Cool. I'm happy with that.
And I'll make.
Nope.
I caught up with
Let's
the
listen.
night the first time. I gotta do right to get high, and I'm finally on my own, singing quietly for the road, bringing me up the good way. It's been days I could back down, but it's late, and I'll make the decision to leave. I got all I need.
One's in chat. Big difference.
All I need.
Question was asked, why compress it later if you've done all this? Well, this is just getting it to the point where a compressor will even do what we want it to do. It wouldn't even react properly to how it was before. Now we can use a compressor to do micro moves of compression to just enhance that further. That's what we want the robot to do. That would take us too long, but now that we have it in control, we can set parameters that will allow it to control the dynamics even more. It'll sit in the pocket even more and respond to the compressor settings that we have.
That's right, Caleb.
What do we have for them, Johnny?
I did crossfade, folks. I did. And now that we're done with all that yummy stuff, gonna bounce it in place.
Commit.
That's a much lovelier looking waveform to me. Like that compared to...
Yeah. Yeah.
You with me, guys?
Second verse is louder, fatter because there's more going on there.
Don't worry, we're gonna squish it.
Even more.
Do more layers of leveling and making this sound nice and consistent so we can sit it nicely in the mix. There's more to do, but this is pretty good for volume only. I'm gonna make that a verse vocal here. Verse vocal. And then we've got a chorus that we would want to do that with as well. Is that something you want to do today, Caleb?
Y'all want to go through that, or is that good? Do you get the idea?
If you guys get the idea, that's totally cool. Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
I can do this offline. Yeah, I can do this offline and have this ready for tomorrow's session. All right.
So we'll do some referencing. We're going to see how close we are and just look at how far we got it with just volume balance as a whole. And then we'll be done for today. Tomorrow we'll dive deep into the EQ compression and all this stuff. It's actually a lot more complicated, but it shouldn't be the bulk of your process.
Right. We do have some more vocals here. It looks like, you think I should bring these in now, or?
Yeah, we could just plop them in as they are. Get them a general volume balance.
Okay.
Just so we can hear everything properly.
Right on. So I'm going to do this detail work on this chorus tomorrow. For now, I'm just going to slap a limiter on it so we can sit it in the mix.
He's going to go through and do the hand stuff that he just did on the other one.
Yeah, exactly. This is just for demonstration purposes.
Turned into ice.
Just gonna squash the heck out of it.
I found that it'll all come around if you listen. I came for the mountains and the river.
Yeah, see, obviously it's not reacting, right? So it's like crazy. Anyway.
See how that doesn't work?
Yeah, see. Good demonstration of how it doesn't work.
I came for the mountains and the river turned into ice. Oh, and I found, turn down the lights. Turn down the lights. Turn down the lights. I caught up with the night the first.
This is so cool.
I caught up with the night the first time. I gotta do right to get high, and I'm finally on my own singing.
I'm just doing a quick rough volume balance.
It's been days late, and I made the decision to leave. I got all I need. I came for the mountains
Yeah, George, you're talking about that glitch on the vocal. This is something I would push back on the client for. I'd be like, hey, we've got this issue going on here with the vocal. It sounds like a dirty comp. Can you take a look at that? Take a look at the tracks there, check your auto tune, check your comping, and make sure that it's not a messed up crossfade. Or if we have another take of that, let's grab that and pull it into the session, right? So yes, for now, for demonstration purposes, we're ignoring that, but that's not something that I would let slide with a client, you know, who's paying me to give them the best result, right? Make sense? Does that make sense, guys? With me? Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Lights, lights, lights. Turn down the lights.
All right.
I came from the mountains and the river turned into ice. Oh, I found a locomotive.
So I like to use reference from Mastering the Mix because it's awesome. It's great. Gonna put this up against some of our reference tracks, compare it, see where it sits. I'm gonna start with the before mix.
No.
Doing it.
I came from the mountains and the river turned into ice. Oh, I found a locomotive. If you listen and turn. I came from the mountains and the river turned.
That vocal even sounds better with just a limiter slapped on it.
Yeah.
I came from the mountains and the river turned into ice. Oh, I found.
Volume only. Okay. And then this is the reference that the artist gave us.
I came. I was on into ice.
Obviously, a little bit different instrumentation. We're just listening for volume balance right now.
Tell people how to listen the right way during this phase of the process.
Yeah, it's basically we're listening for volume levels, right? So where's the kick sitting? Where's the snare sitting? Where's the vocal sitting in the mix? And understanding that we haven't done any frequency management or dynamics management or spatial processing or anything like that. So this is selective hearing here, guys, right? We're kind of like internally ignoring some of the frequency stuff and just focusing on balance. Right?
Yep.
So do your best.
I came from the mountains.
While also keeping in mind instrumentation is going to be different from track to track to track to track, right?
Yeah.
These aren't going to be apples to apples.
Don't get hung up on that stuff. Just volume, general ballpark
Yep.
of volume.
Exactly.
I came from the mountains. I'm losing my mind just a little.
A little bit of a different vibe.
I came from the mountains and the river.
I just pulled in a couple top 40 stuff for variety.
I came from the mountains. Don't come out once I came. Turned into ice. Walk away. I found a locomotive. Mountains and the river.
The one thing I notice about all of these references is the instrumentation in the top end of the actual arrangement, right? So we've got some pretty high end, pretty airy kind of synths, like dance synths happening in all three of these. You know, even though Fire for You is kind of like more on the alt pop side and less of top 40, it's still got like this high end synth happening in the top end. Okay? really airy, right?
I came from the mountains and the river.
Closest thing we have to that is this. Like these two elements here are probably the closest.
Means we might want to consider bringing some brightness out of those for the finish
Exactly.
track.
Right, exactly. So like, let's see what happens when we just pull them up a little bit in the mix.
I came from the mountains and the river turned into ice. I let it all come on if you listen and turn. I came from the mountains and the river turned into ice.
It's not as bitey because it's just not the texture. That's not the sound. But would you say we're sitting in the ballpark?
I would say we're in the ballpark.
Yeah, I think so. I think this can sit in a playlist with our reference and people wouldn't be like, all right. That's the point.
What's crazy though is already this sounds like a pretty dang good mix. And to think we haven't done one EQ, compressor, reverb, saturation, delay, space, nothing, right? We haven't done anything. It's just volume, but that's cool to see how far you can push it that way. And why is that important to cap it off? It's setting the intention for today. It's setting the intention for tomorrow. And it's also the least destructive process we can do. Every plugin you add is more destructive than just volume. Volume isn't destructive. It's not running it through anything. It's just changing the intensity of the sound, or
Right.
decreasing the intensity of the sound.
And it allows us as mixing engineers, like ultimately at the end of the day, it allows us to not worry as much about fixing problems, right? Because we have a really good production happening here. And it allows us to focus more on managing relationships and enhancing and leaning into the emotion and the message of the music.
That's right.
All right.
I love it. I love it. We're pretty close. We're in the ballpark. It's exciting to see, have that kind of as a surface level for tomorrow, because then we could just really kind of polish this thing up. It's going to sound really, really great. And now we add that kind of just like that big polished, saturated, professional sound. We'll do all that tomorrow. Already got it pretty good, Jake, though. Good job.
Great.
It's in chat for Jake. Claps, strong arm emojis. Awesome questions today. Also loved seeing everyone helping each other in the chat. This is a good group. I love to see it. Wonderful folks. Tomorrow.
You got action items for tomorrow?
Yep. Tomorrow, I want you to come prepared with I want you to have this experience of going through and doing just volume. I know you may have mixes that you've even spent a ton of time on already. Save those. That's the first thing. Save an alter to your project. Either do a save as or do an alternate in Logic. And what I want you to do is remove all processing and plugins. Remove everything. Let's start over. Get everything organized, right? Hopefully it's already organized. But organize it, get everything prepped. If you need to do editing, do it. Then bring all faders down to negative infinity and bring the volume based around one of those key instruments like your kick. Bring it up. See how much you can do with volume and panning only, with gain automation. Right, Nick? See how much you can affect the frequencies dynamics and the space you use in 3 dimensions just with volume. It's really fun to do this. It's a great exercise, and it really is a great way to approach mixing in general for the reasons we said. It's a mindset thing. It keeps you on the right path with all of this and in the right mindset. it gives you the ability to work with a lot more intention. So practice this, see what happens, see if it works for your brain. There's lots of different ways to do things, but to understand what works best, you have to dive in and really explore stuff. And so I challenge y'all to do that. Share if you want your volume only mix in school just for fun. Just show us how far you can get it with just volume. I love to see that. We'll try to comment on those, and other people can chime in and give you feedback on those as well. Until tomorrow, great group. Appreciate you being here. Same time tomorrow, we're going to dig into the highest level stuff with EQ, compression, all that. Space we're going to focus on a lot. Getting reverb right, isn't that a big deal? A lot of people struggle with. We're going to focus on that a ton.
With a specialty on special focus on vocal reverb tomorrow and vocal wet effects, not just reverb, but I should say wet effects across the board.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, y'all. Have a good evening. Be safe, and we'll see y'all tomorrow, Thursday, the 22nd, 1 p.m. Eastern.